Hello everybody, and welcome to this second presentation on the work of David Rennie. In this presentation we're going to look at the role of meta-communication in person-centered counselling. We'll be looking at what meta-communication is, how it can be used, the 4 types of meta-communication that Rennie identifies, and then an opportunity to practice this in our skills groups. So the aim then is to define and explain the role of meta-communication in person-centered counselling, show how it promotes congruence, increases reflexivity for the client, and overall deepens the relationship between the counsellor and his or her client. There'll be an opportunity at the end to practice in triads. These ideas come from David Rennie's book, Person-Centered Counselling, An Experiential Approach, and that was published by Sage in 1998. So first of all then, we need to have a definition of what meta-communication is, and probably the simplest way of thinking about it is that meta-communication is communication about our communication. So in a counselling context, it's any intervention, communication, observation that focuses the client's attention on the way that the counsellor and the client are communicating with each other. The most obvious benefit of that is that it promotes congruence, because the counsellor becomes transparent in his or her communication and reveals their congruence to the client. It also enables the client to experience more reflexivity, which is reflection that leads to increased self-awareness and agency, and it makes the relationship between counsellor and client not only more transparent, but hopefully it deepens it too. Now, according to Rennie, there are 4 types of meta-communication, and we're going to look at those 4 types, starting with form 1, which is where the counsellor reveals the reasons for his or her communication. An example, I'm asking that question, or I'm saying that, or I'm making that observation because, or in order to, and the effect of this is to promote congruence and transparency, to reveal the intention behind the counsellor's intervention. The second form of meta-communication involves the counsellor revealing the impact of the client's communication. For example, as you described what happened in your childhood, I began to feel really angry and upset. Now, you may think that the effect of this is to take the client off track and to focus the attention on the counsellor and their feelings. But what actually happens in practice is that the client reflects more deeply on their communication, on the impact of what they've said, on its significance, in response to the counsellor's meta-communication. So it doesn't actually shift focus from client to counsellor, it actually intensifies the focus for the client as they began to dig deeper into the meaning of the communication that they've just expressed. The third form of meta-communication is where the counsellor inquires about the purpose behind the client's communication. An example of this: I wonder, can you tell me where you're coming from when you say that? I'm wondering what the meaning is of those words that you've just chosen. It encourages the client to reflect upon the meaning of the communication that they have just expressed, in order to deepen reflexivity, reflection on what they've just said. The fourth kind of meta-communication is where the counsellor inquires about the impact of their communication on the client. when I put that to you just then, how do you find yourself reacting? What do you make of what I've just said? Again, it's making the relationship between counsellor and client more transparent. It's being very transparent about the communication and how communication is taking place between the two. And it's providing the client with an opportunity to respond in a very real, authentic way to the communication that's taking place at that moment. It encourages the client to stay in the room and in the here and now with their feelings and their current experience, their current process, as they're experiencing it from moment to moment. So the conclusion is that we can deepen an exploration of the client's material by using meta-communication, and I invite you to have a go at practicing this in your skills groups.